Um, like, how do I log into my Zoom meeting again? I know it's 2 days before the end of the semester, but I don't know my schedule. How do you expect me to be in class if I don't even know what my schedule is? No, I swear, I submitted the assignment. Google must have, like, deleted it or something. Needless to say, it's an interesting time to be a teacher. Hi, and welcome to my classroom. My name is Christopher Youngren, and I'm a middle school ELA teacher in Tucson, Arizona. Well, thanks, coronavirus. You've made things really interesting for us this year as teachers. I've found that, what's really working for me is approaching things as if I were a first-year teacher, which is easy because I am a first-year teacher. But putting ourselves in the mindset of being a first-year teacher, I think could be helpful to a lot of long-term teachers as well, people who have 5, 10, 20 years behind them, to behave as if this was all new, right? And this is all we knew and all we ever knew, as opposed to all the things that have worked for us in the past, in the classroom, in person, hands-on. Let it go. Throw it out the window. It's not here. And we don't know how long this is gonna last. We don't know when distance learning is gonna end. So all we can do is focus on the now. All we can do is focus on the tools we have available to us now. And we have a lot of marvelous tools available to us online, and I'll talk about that in a second. But first, I want to go back in time and give you a tiny bit of a history lesson. One of the most famous acting teachers of all time was named Konstantin Stanislavski, and he talked about something called the magic if. And the magic if is simply a tool that actors use to put themselves in the shoes of whatever character they're playing. So let's say they're playing a villain, you know. How would I feel if I was bad to the bone, right? Well, let's say they're playing a young lover, an ingenue. How would I feel if I was a pretty princess? Right? How would I feel if I were a first-year teacher? Even if I've been doing this 30 years, putting yourself in the shoes of somebody like me who doesn't really know anything and who's making it up as you go along can actually make things a lot easier, because we don't have all that other information kind of muddling up our brain and making things more difficult for us. All we know is what we have before us right now, and that's what we need to focus on. And we've got a lot of marvelous things at our disposal. The internet is just chock full of tools that we can use, from Google Classroom to YouTube to Flipgrid. There are all of these things that really resound with students today. I mean, students spend so much of their time in class and away from class on screens. This is sort of the medium that they're used to, and I would even argue it might be, while it's an uncomfortable transition for many, it might ultimately even be more effective than in-person teaching. I don't know. Comment in the chat, in the comments below, and tell me what you think. Which is ultimately better, in-person or distance learning? I think that there are definitely advantages to both, but let me know what you think in the chat below. But the thing about all of the marvelous tools on the internet is you really need to KISS. Keep it simple, silly. All right? You got to not overload the students. You got to not inundate them with so many websites they get completely confused and don't know where to go on from one day to the next. Keep it down to 2 or 3 that you find most useful to you. And it's going to ultimately make your job a lot easier, rather than, oh, look at this marvelous thing over here and look at that marvelous thing over there. Yeah, they're all great. The problem is there's too much great stuff on the internet. You got to narrow it down and use only what works best for you. And experiment, try different things out. You know, just because Flipgrid works well for me doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna work well for you. See what works best with you in your own class with your own students, and narrow it down. You don't wanna throw too much stuff at them, because ultimately you're just gonna make their brains explode, and then there's gonna be a mess to clean up, and nobody wants that. But ultimately, what I think is important, and you'll see this in some of my other videos, is community before curriculum. Everybody is so distanced right now. We are all a collection of individuals, including you watching this right now, sitting in front of our screens, detached and distant from one another and not feeling connected. So to make this paradigm work most effectively, focus on communication, focus on relationships, really take the time to listen to what your students have to say. What is frustrating them? What is working for them? What is not working for them? Just because you think you have a tool that's tremendous and that you want to use all year long, your students might think it sucks. Your students might hate it, and you need to take that into account, and you need to be receptive and open up your ears to what your students have to say. Otherwise, you're simply kind of perpetuating that idea of you against them instead of collaborating as a classroom community. You're kind of stacking the deck against yourself by saying it's my way or the highway. You know, really touch base with your students and really listen to what they have to say and really focus on that community. I have other videos on this channel that really focus on establishing community and building that connection with students, and I encourage you to check them out. So hopefully some of what I've said today makes sense. Just remember, as Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage, and you are merely players on it, or something to that effect. I just paraphrased, I know, but just don't panic. I know that you had a certain set of expectations coming into this year. So did I. I didn't expect this as a first-year teacher, but I'm rolling with it, and it's probably a little bit easier for me because I don't have a long history of in-class instruction. But that's okay. Even if you do, just throw it out the window and start right here, start right now. All right. If you like this video, then check this one out. I think you're going to find it really, really useful too. And if you enjoy my videos, then hey, why not subscribe to my channel so you can be kept up to date on everything as I release it. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you found some value in this. If so, be sure to smash that like button. I'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves and take care of someone else. Bye-bye.